Yo, what's up, gang? Kagamith here with my initial thoughts going into Season of the Wish. And right off the bat, I just want to say that the new seasonal armor ornaments and the weapons look really good. I seriously can't wait to see what they look like with the dragon scale shader that you get from finishing the Embargo engine. It's probably going to be sick. However, unfortunately, with player sentiment being at an all-time low right now, and the Steam numbers supporting that idea, Season of the Wish is going to have to pack a lot more than just cool ornaments. So, since everyone's already covered the layoffs and the final shape delay already, I'll just be focusing solely on my initial thoughts of the season and how I think it fits into the big picture. Also, I forgot to mention, the Dreaming City weapons and the old Vex offensive weapons from Season of the Undying are here, and they updated the perk pools, so that's pretty cool. Alright, let's move on to the meat and potatoes here. Season of the Wish has us talking to an astral projection of Riven, who we killed, by the way, and we're trying to get her to grant us one last wish. Get it? Last wish? Last wish rate? You see what they did? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm gonna stop. Anyway, all of this is so that we can finally follow the witness into the Traveler. And as I think about what I just said, the story really is kind of wild right now. Anyway, TLDR, Ghost Riven tells us we need to find a bunch of hidden Ahamkara eggs for her in the seasonal activity. Now, when I was going through the seasonal quest and doing my first coil run, I was really into it and having a lot of fun, but thinking about things now after having some time to process it, I'm a little worried. While I love Destiny and I want it to be successful, the game has a lot of hurdles ahead of it. First, the elephant in the room. With the next expansion being delayed until summer, Season of the Wish has an impossible task, which is carrying Destiny 2 for half a year on just 3 months worth of content. And while the seasonal activity really is a step in the right direction, showing more experimentation from Bungie in their effort to mix up the monotony of seasonal activities, hot take, I thought deep dives from Season of the Deep were actually a really cool concept. Maybe not the best match-made activity, but they were awesome with a pre-made fire team. Followed up by the absolute banger that was Season of the Witch. Okay, and yeah, we are just going to ignore Season of Defiance. So let's talk about this season's two activities, Riven's Lair and the Coil. With Riven's Lair being the more casual of the two, which has you run through, wait for it, Riven's Lair, who could have guessed, I know, right? In the Riven's Lair activity, you head into her lair in the Dreaming City and go through several different sections. There's a traversal phase with some mild combat, a combat arena, and then another traversal area with some enemies, and then a final boss fight. The combat is pretty standard Strike playlist difficulty, and it's about the same duration too. There's a variety of paths and bosses you can get at random each time you do the activity, which should hopefully help keep things fresh for a little bit longer. But I guess here's the rub for me. The second activity, the Coil, while really cool, like I said at the start, it's essentially a longer, harder version of Riven's Lair set at 1810 power. In this activity, you're basically doing back-to-back Riven's Lair clears, and every time you kill the boss, you go back to the starting room and the power level of the enemies goes up by 5 until you get to the final clear and unlock the platinum rewards, or until your fire team runs out of revives and you just get sent to orbit. So it's sort of kind of like Bungie giving us a horde mode, but not really. Now here's my issue. While I understand the need for an activity for more casual play sessions where you don't have time or don't want to be in an activity for 30 to 45 minutes, it just feels a bit bad that they're so similar. And it'll probably make the activity feel stale a little bit faster than it would have otherwise. This isn't really helped by the fact that the activity also has a Strike variant in the Strike playlist. So we're basically just getting a triple serving of this activity. While reusing activities isn't necessarily anything new, I think the bigger issue is the fact that this season is going to be twice as long as it normally would be, and okay, I don't want to speak for the whole community here, but I know at least for myself, it can get a little monotonous, you know? Like, the fact that there's a good variety of encounters is great. The rotating purchasable buffs you can get to modify your gameplay is also really great, but it's just really hard to see how this and a new dungeon is going to carry us through to the final shape. I'm just not seeing it. This is also the first season I can think of where we haven't gotten any new exotic armor. And while you could argue that we got so many exotic reworks, if I could say the word rework, that should breathe new life into the old builds and activities. We also saw a lot of nerfs coming this season, so they kind of, I don't know, they kind of negate each other in my opinion. Now, I would love to be wrong, okay? I want to be wrong, but I'm just not saying it. To be fair, while I have a ton of time in Destiny, I do still play a bunch of other games. And part of the reason I've been able to stay in love with the game for so long is I take plenty of breaks and I don't force myself to play content that I don't have fun in. Looking at you, Gambit. And while this is my personal stance on the matter, I know that there's plenty of people that don't do this. They don't take breaks when they're starting to feel burnt out. They get upset and they end up playing the game until they hate it rather than, giving their feedback and walking away until they actually feel like playing the game again. So with this being an extra long season, if you're still playing Destiny, I would definitely recommend looking into a secondary game. I know I have mine. Wow, we've gotten way off subject here. Okay, so I just want to wrap this up by saying that, I mostly like what Bungie is doing this season so far. We really did need more experimentation with activities, and we've been getting that. But I guess I'm just really worried about the recent drama and the final shape delay and the fact that that's going to be so detrimental to the player population numbers that it won't matter, right? All of the good things that Bungie's been doing, the good things in this season, are just going to be buried under all of the other negative factors. And with this being a multiplayer live service game, it really is all about the player population. So no players equals no game.